As we had announced on Friday, when we had said that, when we made the announcement regarding the second wave of superannuation payments and also with government assistance, we had also said that we will be assisting and making announcements for the small and medium and micro enterprises. And we've got some new measures in place which we'd like to announce today. We have got the three categories of businesses that we like to assist. Firstly, we have the micro enterprises. We've made a number of changes in terms of the definition of micro enterprises. So micro enterprises are any business with a gross turnover of less than $50,000. Previously, it used to be a much lower amount. And we'll be offering new and existing micro enterprises assistance for working capital support and also capital investment. And also for any new business venture, as we've said, for micro enterprises, up to $7,000. And so any new micro enterprise business, an existing micro enterprise that is facing some issues with working capital, can be assisted up to $7,000. Now, the $7,000 will be given by way of a loan, and the loan will have a 1-year grace period payable within the next 4 years. In other words, a 5-year loan term. In the first year of the grace period, there won't be any principal, no interest applicable to be paid. Now, we've come up with a new scheme in respect of how the assessments will be done. And we have been working for the past number of weeks with a number of stakeholders. And so these applications will be assessed by an organization or an ad hoc organization that has been set up, which is going to be called the Business Assistance Fiji. It comprises of accredited members of the Fiji Institute of Accountants, the Fiji Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation, Women in Business, and the MSME group that exists within the Ministry of Commerce, Trade, Tourism and Transport. In order for the micro-enterprise, existing micro-enterprise and new micro-enterprise business, for them to be able to be eligible, apart from the assessment itself, they need to, of course, have a business registration, they need to have a tax identification number, they need to obviously have bank account details, a business plan, cash flow projections, and completed application form. Now, in all of this, of course, there are some people who will be going into these new enterprises, but they won't have the expertise or the knowledge to be able to work out a business plan. They won't know, for example, how to complete perhaps a cash flow projection. So this is why this organization that we're setting up called Business Assistance Fiji, with whom we have an understanding and will be signing the MOUs in the next couple of days, they'll be reaching out through their members and giving assistance to these individuals who want to set up micro-enterprises. So as we've said, for example, the example that I did use on Friday last week was assuming that there's somebody who may be, for example, a pastry chef who works in one of the hotels down the Coral Coast in Mamanuthas or Yasawas, and has now come back to his village or wherever he lives and wants to utilize his skill sets. So he can make bread, he can make pastries, he can make meat pies, he can make scones, etc. Now, he's able to go into this business venture. He may need, for example, $4,000 or $5,000 or $3,000 to buy in a commercial oven. Now, he may not have necessarily the capital for that. So this group, when he puts in his application, they can assist him to develop his business plan, work out his cash flow, what will be his expenses, see what amount of money he may be contributing, and they give an assessment of that. Once they've done it, and if they, for example, recommend that this person should be given the assistance, this concessional loan, then that person will be given the concessional loan. And of course, they'll be able to mentor them, they'll be able to see how they're performing in their business. And of course, we obviously recognize there's quite a few people now, for example, who may have become unemployed, but they've got very good skill sets. We want them to be able to utilize that. So, for example, somebody who may be working in a garment factory and no longer has a job, he or she may actually be a very good person who's very good with making clothes, and they may be able to utilize the skill set. So what do we do to set them up in a business? So these people will be eligible for a $7,000 concessional loan, as I said, at a concessional rate of 0.5% interest rate, Now, there's no way you'll get 0.5% interest rate at this point in time in any of the banks or any other organization. And this is government's way of providing assistance and indeed trying to eke out the skill sets to be better utilized in this particular period. Then, of course, we have the other category, which is the small enterprises. The small enterprise definition, of course, now is any organization or enterprise that has a gross turnover between $50,000 and $300,000. Now, the funding, concessional funding for this particular category of businesses will currently be only eligible for those that are existing businesses, not people who want to get into the space of $50,000 to $300,000 business space, but existing businesses. So they may be employing 3 or 4 people. They may be facing some hardships in terms of, for example, paying their rent or paying the salaries of their employees. So this will provide them the assistance. We're providing a working capital of up to $14,000. Or they may require to buy a new machine that will actually help keep the people currently employed or get new employees. So the maximum funding eligibility is up to $14,000. The concessional interest rate of 1% because they're a small enterprise. The micro enterprise is 0.5%. This will be 1%. Again, 1 year grace period. In other words, no principal, no interest payment in the first year. And then they pay the balance in the 4 years. Now, we won't get them to do the repayments like a bank does. Every month you have to pay a particular amount of money. We'll simply set out what amount of money they need to pay in the whole year, and it's up to them how they do the repayments. As long as they do the repayment within that 1 year of the amount that is stated. Again, we'll be using the approval process to the Business Assistance Fiji, and government will make direct disbursements into the account of the approved entity. They need to be, of course, need to have a business registration, tax identification number, bank account details. They need to be FNPF compliant as of December 2019. They need to be FRCS compliant as of December 2018 because tax assessments have been done then in full year, and a completed application form, of course. And the eligible business should be operational with at least 60% of the employees relative to December 2018 still employed. So it's good news for those small businesses, small enterprises. We're giving them some direct assistance. Now we have, of course, the third category of companies or entities. That is the medium-sized enterprises. The medium-sized enterprises, again with a new definition, are those entities with a gross turnover between $300,000 and $1.25 million. Again, funding is available for working capital and capital investment. The maximum funding eligibility is up to $21,000 that these companies can get. The concessional interest rate, again, is 1.5%, which is very concessional, in particular for businesses of that size. Again, you have a 1 year grace period of no principal or no interest being paid, and plus you do the repayments over the next 4 years thereafter. Similar requirements: business registration, tax identification number, bank account details, latest financial statements, business plan, cash flow projections, being FNPF compliant as of December 2019, FRCS compliant as of December 2018, and they must have completed application forms. Again, they must have at least 60% of the employees within the operations as of December 2019. Again, we'll be using the Business Assistance Fiji, which is the accredited members of Fiji Chamber of Commerce and Employees Federation, the Fiji Institute of Accountants, Fiji Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Women in Business and MSME. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to also note for the medium businesses, we'll be giving to existing medium businesses, because there are a lot of small and medium businesses that may be struggling, and we want to be able to assist them. They already have a number of people working for them, and that assistance will be given to them. Now, we have, this will commence from the 7th of June, and the reason why we're making this announcement, apart from the advertisements we'll be putting out and through you, we want all those people who are in small and medium enterprises, existing businesses, to be aware of this so they can start making sure that they're compliant. And when applications actually do open from the 7th of June, they can go ahead and fill out the forms and make the applications through the Business Assistance Fiji program. And also those people who currently may have become unemployed but want to start up their own business venture and have the right skill sets, and not people who want to scam the system, but genuine applicants who have got a particular skill set that they can turn into a business venture. We like them to prepare themselves for this too. And of course, we'll be giving more details as to where all these forms will be available from. Logistically, we want to make it easy for people. The other announcement we'd like to make, ladies and gentlemen, before I open up the floor for any questions, is you know that government in 2012 had started a what we call MSME credit guarantee scheme through the Reserve Bank of Fiji, where in order to assist businesses to access finance from mainstream financial institutions like banks through a risk-sharing arrangement, the government initially guaranteed 50% of the principal outstanding on defaulted SME loans up to a limit of $50,000 for business. So in other words, if you were a small medium enterprise and you went to a commercial bank and the bank was hesitant, thinking that you may actually default, but with government guaranteeing 50% of the loan amount being paid, banks started lending to the small businesses. So for example, assuming that you were a hairdresser and you had 2 chairs and you operated a hairdressing salon, say in Nandi, and you got a lot of hotel workers, etc., coming there, you may want to add another couple of chairs. It may cost you, say $50,000. Now, you may have, say, $5,000 of your own savings, and the bank says, well, we need more money. We know that you've got the cash flow, you can actually do the repayments, but what if you default? That's where government stepped in through the RBF and said, look, we can lend to them. In the event that they default, government will pay up to 50% of the outstanding amount. Now, that outstanding amount, of course, was $50,000 per business. That's what we covered. Now, just as a matter of statistics, as of March 2020, 1,111 small businesses with over $104.6 million in outstanding loans were covered under the scheme. And the very small default amount. And the interest rate that was charged was at 10% per annum. We are quite happy today to announce, we've been talking to the Reserve Bank of Fiji and the government's initiatives. What we are now saying, government will now guarantee up to 60% of the default amount. And we will guarantee up to $60,000 as far as the limit of the business is concerned. In addition to this, ladies and gentlemen, what we are saying, in order to encourage women's role in driving our economic recovery and to support the development of agriculture, fisheries and forestry sectors, government will now guarantee up to 75% of the principal outstanding on the defaulted loans up to a limit of $75,000 per business. So if you're a woman, if you have an enterprise in agriculture, fisheries and forestry sector, government will guarantee to pay 75% of the principal outstanding on defaulted loans up to a limit of $75,000 per business on all small business loans to women entrepreneurs, to those loans in the agriculture, forestry and fishery sectors. Now, also businesses with an annual turnover up to $1.25 million will now all be able to enjoy this credit guarantee compared with the $500,000 previously. So previously, it was only those businesses that have a gross turnover of $500,000. Now it's gone up to those businesses up to $1.25 million. And to give some form of assurance to the businesses, government is now saying that the waiting period to lodge claims on losses will now be reduced from 180 days to 120 days. In other words, if the business defaults for 120 days, the bank can call on the guarantee from government through the RBF. So that's another set of announcements we made. This obviously kicks in immediately, and we've been working with the banks. The Reserve Bank of Fiji has been working with the mainstream commercial banks, and they know about this, and this will kick in immediately in respect of the concessional finance support package for micro-enterprises, small and medium enterprises. This will commence from the 7th of June. Now, within the next couple of months, from 7th of June, as you know, our financial year ends on 31st of July, we hope to disburse $5 million for these micro-enterprises, small and medium enterprises. Of course, with the next budget coming in, we'll see the appetite for this, and we can in fact increase the amount of concessional funding facility if need be. But we like to, through the media, urge all micro-enterprises, small enterprises, medium enterprises, in particular small and medium enterprises that are currently existing, face some financial issues, and want to retain all their staff, please get your records in order. Please come 7th of June, lodge your applications through Business Assistance Fiji, and we'll be able to very quickly do a turnaround with a proper assessment and be able to say how much you're eligible for. For those people who are using mainstream financial institutions, please go to your banks and talk to them. If you're a woman entrepreneur, know that we're guaranteeing up to 75% of the principal outstanding loan, the limit of $75,000. Eligible for those businesses up to $1.25 million. If you're an entrepreneur in the agriculture, forestry and fishery sector, please go to your mainstream banks and you can talk to them about this guarantee scheme. And last but not least, those people in particular who want to set up micro enterprises, in particular those people who become unemployed, have a particular skill set through which they think that they can gain and have a sustained livelihood through a business venture. Please get all your papers in order. Come the 7th of June, you can put in your application. Business Assistance Fiji will actually help you develop those forms, provide mentoring for you, and put in the application so you can again you can start up your livelihoods again in that respect. So are there any questions, ladies and gentlemen?